there is not one person particularly who give me, who teach me how to do it. I did a school in France that's called Art Déco, l'École nationale supérieure des arts décoratifs de Paris. So I learned there not to tell story, but to know how to get my illustration with text and all the thing, to present my work. But to be true, as child, when I just born, I draw and I tried to make my own story. I did little comic books that was ridiculous at this time, and some little child books. And at first, I really wanted to do animation, because I was fascinated by animation. So I wanted to do some movies, and so my first, work was that. My first job was to try to do animation, but then when I practiced and I did some animation, I wasn't so happy because I wasn't able to put my own story and my own characters. So I find the book, and it was like a new work for me and a new work to express myself totally. I can do my own story, my own draws, my own characters, etc. Really, I can't remember. At the age of 1, I was drawing. My mother and all my family told, I was born with a pencil. So it really was a true thing. But there is a lot of people like this. To be true, every child draw. When you're a child, you draw. But there is some child that stop to draw, and there is some child that still continuing. So I was that kind of. Always the text. The text comes first because, for me, to be an illustrator is to put the light on the text. And really, the Latin word, illustra, is to put the light on the text. So that's the same thing. You have to have the text first, and then you put the illustration. And to me, when I illustrate, I try not just, to illustrate exactly the text, but, to illustrate further, to explain something else with illustration. What is more challenging? I don't know. Each book is different. Each book can be a challenge. Each book can be. Sometimes there is books that I thought that would be very easy to do, and that's not at all. Sometimes some part of the text is pretty hard to go. You try to explain things, and the hard thing is also that you're doing books that can be read by child, so it has to be very clear. It has to be very limpid, very transparent, and but each time it's different, I can say. But I have to say, now I'm doing books for adults, and for the first time, because I did some adult illustrated books that was, great text like Edgar Allan Poe or like Victor Hugo. But now I'm working on books that I'm actually write also for adults, and it's quite hard because, I used to illustrate some great text, very, very great text that's absolutely masterpiece, and now this is my text. So it's quite hard. I'm working on 2 books like this, adult books that could be both written and illustrated by me, and it's quite a challenge because I did 20 books that I wrote for child, but this is the first one I do for adults. So. I have to say, I did some, numeric book for the El Herbario de las Hadas, and a lot of people in France was very frightened by this, said, oh, it will kill books, numeric books is the future, but it's bad future, we love books like is it, and we don't want to change. But I don't think that numeric book will, replace the real books. Yeah, I have to say, it's not the real books, but that's the material books. But I think that will coexist, that will live together. This is a new way of telling stories. Like, some years before, it was the same thing with the audiobooks. There was the audiobook that was coming, that was spread, and everybody said, okay, nobody will read again. Everybody will have audiobooks and nothing. But at the end, no, it doesn't work at all in Europe. It worked very well in US, but it's still coexisting. You have audiobooks and material books without audio, and now you have numeric books with audios and videos and things. But for me, the future, books has been here for centuries and will be still here for centuries, I think. I think that they have to read material books because and if it's hard to get them to read because there is some child who thinks that read is a bad thing or thing for old people, that's old century and things like this. So maybe it could be nice first to get the numeric books that is more like it's not video games, but there is more interaction. So maybe you can keep them to read, and then they have to read material books and big books because I think it's quite hard to read books, a book with a lot of pages on the tabs because you have to. It's really better for the eyes and for the imagination and things, to have a real material books. And I think maybe it's a good way if you have a child that doesn't want to read well and that doesn't. Maybe you can download some books first and then to give him some reading. It depends. When I was a child, I have some favorite children's books, and I have some that I love now. I love Edward Gorey books. Maybe most of them are just beautiful, like The Gastronomies or like The Doubtful Guest, or some books like this that are just masterpieces. And I love All White Things Are, by Maurice Sendak. It's such an amazing book. I think one of the best. And there is a lot of great books. To say, for child, this is such an art form, so there is so many that I can talk. Recently I saw a beautiful book in France called La Croûte, illustrated by Olivier Talek and written by Charlotte Nudlik, and it's such a beautiful book about a deaf mother and the way a kid can go further of it. So there is many.